What's up, everybody? I'm former quarterback Malik Rosier, and if football, sports interviews, and having a good time interests you, then make sure to click the like and subscribe button, as it really does help support this channel, and it also makes sure that you guys never miss a new video. Welcome back to another episode of Malik Rosier Show. I hope you guys are having a great week. I know I am. And so we're going to go ahead and get into it. And the first topic is going to be about Mario and what he's been talking about. Don Bailey basically asked Mario, are you happy as can be with the conditioning and the physicality of the team? And, Mario talked about, I don't really use the words happy, but I am enthusiastic about the team. And the biggest thing that he was happy about was the physicality at the point of attack. To me, this is the biggest thing that you see in the SEC when you're talking about Alabama, Georgia, the really, really good defensive teams. Again, especially on defense, they win the point of attack. There was a big terminology that we talked about, especially as an offense for offensive line, was reestablishing the line of scrimmage, saying, hey, the line of scrimmage at the 5, by the time the running back has the ball, we need it at like the 6 or the 7. So being able to move guys from the line of scrimmage back or forth on either side of the ball. Obviously, if you're on defense, you want to go the other way. They start at the 5, you want to put them on the 3. So, the physicality at the point of attack to me is some of the biggest things that, I felt like Miami needed to work on in the past. Some of that has to do with size, as you get bigger guys, as I think we got like LT and Ruben and Isaiah Horton. I think these guys are going to be very, very instrumental to, having that physical point of attack. As to me, if you can't win in your front 7 or really in the trenches, then you're probably not going to win most games anyways, especially when you're playing a good team that is going to dominate. That was something that, I was hearing Josh Pack talk about, is that he thinks that the weakness of Miami could be our run defense. And to me, run defense is a point of attack, reestablishing the line of scrimmage. Like if you guys go back and watch 2017, go watch how many times RJ and Kendrick Norton just reestablished line of scrimmage, pushing guards, pushing centers 2 or 3 yards in the backfield. And, you're having running backs hitting the guard in the back, things like that, because they're reestablishing the line of scrimmage, and that starts at the point of attack. So the fact that Mario is emphasizing that, to me, definitely means a lot. It means that, defensive line, offensive line are doing their jobs and winning their battles up front. So next, there's some, I don't want to say issues, but there's a lot of talk going on with the Miami running back room. And is it a good issue? Obviously we have Henry Parrish. I know, before really in the spring, a lot of people. So number one, we have Henry Parrish. I know a lot of people were talking about Don Chaney for a while, but the two guys that have really, really started to emerge is Ajay Allen and obviously Mark Fletcher. And, can Allen or Fletcher be running back 1? To me, I think they can be, but I don't know if they will be. Again, the biggest part of a running back, and I think Allen has a bigger step than Fletcher, is going to be pass pro. So with young guys, the biggest part necessarily isn't, hey, the line's going to slide right, the backside is going to go man on, then you got your triangle to the left, which means outside linebacker, corner, safety, and a 2-high look. Where it gets hard is when these offensive linemen, let's say it's a blitz, they go, hey, we're going to go 5-5-5. For us, and when I played, 5 means, hey, the linebacker walked up, we're going to take the first 5 guys that are closest to us. And then, the running back then has to process, say, hey, even though I'm supposed to be on the left, if the right side guy blitzes, let's say a linebacker or a safety blitzes late and they either go cover 1 or maybe some type of cover 0, then that is my guy. So that's kind of where, running backs really got to understand not only the pass routes and kind of what their routes are, but also the run game and even more importantly, the pass game pro adjustments. To me, that is the part that gets a lot of guys. A lot of guys know, hey, this is the protection, whether it's a pure slide, whether it's a man on and then a slide on one side. Hey, I know those. But then what happens when defenses show you, nuances or a new blitz, something like that? Do you know how to adjust? Are you on the same page as the offensive lineman saying, hey, we're going to take your guy, you're going to take ours? Kind of like, pizza, saying, hey, I'm going to take your slice of pizza, then hey, I'm going to give you mine. And to me, that is a part that gets a lot of young guys. Obviously, everyone's learning this offense at the same pace. Obviously, Fletcher has a little bit of disadvantage because he came in the summer. But as far as, these guys fully understanding the pass pro protections, at least these guys are similar. But obviously, Henry Parrish has had more time. He's had more game experience. So I think it could be very, very hard for Allen and Fletcher to jump Parrish just because of his ability to pass pro. That's going to be one thing. But I also think, his ability to catch the ball at the field, I think that's one thing that really, really helps Fletcher. And I am super interested. Can these young guys jump running back 1? And I think this could be a battle all throughout. I think it's going to be who's the hot hand, who's the guy that's making plays. All these guys are good running backs. It's not like any of these guys are bad running backs. I just think that whenever you're talented, especially this position, they all kind of give you something a little bit different, which I am excited about to see how Dawson can use them, whether it's a 20, whether it's a 21. I can even sounds kind of weird. I can even see this going potentially 30. There's 3 running backs, 0 tight end, probably 2 receivers. I think there could be some very, very cool stuff, especially if you get one of these guys that can catch. That was one thing to me that made Duke Johnson such a good running back was, yes, his ability to run, but you guys watch him with Miami, you guys especially watch him with Cleveland. He was a receiver. He was able to go out there, line up on a linebacker, and make a move. And I'm wondering if any of these guys are able, to run really good routes. That was one thing that I give to DJ Dallas. DJ Dallas was a receiver, but his route running ability as a running back really, really helped him in a lot of the pass game. So can Allen and Fletcher be RB1? So I think, yes, I think both backs are explosive. I do not see them starting game 1. I think that Parrish will. I think that not that it's a safe choice, but I think it's just a smart choice. And I think that as you get these guys' feet wet and as you get them into the games, and you're going to kind of see what you have. Next, what happens to Chaney? So if one of these guys become running back 1, let's say Chaney bumps down to 3 or 4, what happens? Personally, I hope he stays, but he is good enough to start somewhere else. I think that, if Fletcher winds up jumping to running back 2, maybe it's Parrish, Fletcher, Allen, and Chaney 3rd, or even if Fletcher jumps Chaney, I can definitely see Chaney leaving because it's just hard, man. Running back is a position where you got to get basically that 1 to 2 good years and get out. Obviously, we see a lot of this going on with the running backs in the NFL. And so when you're talking about a position that, isn't, I don't want to say highly valued, but is a position where people feel like they can be easily replaced. I think it's a thing for Chaney to say, hey, they've kind of already bumped Mark or Allen above me. Maybe it's time for me to go somewhere else and help another team. So I definitely hope that doesn't happen. That to me would be something that, I don't want to say make me sad because obviously I don't know the kid that well, but it's something that, I love watching him in orange and green. I hope this guy has a healthy, successful career with the University of Miami because I think he could be a stud for us. We would take a quick break to thank our sponsors, DGen Sports. DGen Sports is an exciting NFT project that combines real-world sports and NFT culture. Behind an experienced leadership team, the project just launched their 3rd season and offers free-to-play sports prediction prizes every month. They gave away a $250 NFT for the Masters alone. Follow them on Twitter at DGenSportsIO. So yeah, the 3-game suspension is dumb. The first game is versus East Carolina, then they play UNLV, and then they play Bowling Green. And we're talking about a team that's supposed to be a playoff contender, potentially number 2, 3 seed overall, and you're suspending a guy for recruiting violations versus teams that all have losing records. All of them losing records, and even if they do spin them for a 4th game, the first game that comes back is versus Rutgers. And it's like Rutgers is D1, but they're not the best football school. So that's kind of where I just think kind of a slap on the wrist saying, hey, we're going to give you your 3 games, but, we want you to go win us a Big Ten championship. So we got to make sure you're back for the important games. And again, missing hardball in these games will not affect Michigan. I think it's actually a good job for, some of the defensive guys, maybe DC or OC to try and say, hey, can I be a head coach? Can I lead a team? Maybe you give your top 3 guys each a game. But I don't know how it's going to function. I think it could be interesting, but I don't think that losing hardball should make Michigan lose any of these games. Their first 4, they should definitely go 4-0 with or without hardball. So I think it could be very, very interesting. But again, I think it's a slap on the wrist. I think it's something so that the NCAA doesn't come in and kind of hit them hard over the head. Next is we're going to talk about how to win the quarterback job. So number 1, you got to know the offense. When a coach calls a formation, a play, a protection, you have to know everything inside and out. Okay, so that's the one big rule that I feel like a lot of young guys, they don't really understand is they think that, as long as I throw a good ball, I don't need to know everything. No, you need to know everything, where the guys are lined up, where their splits are, where the formation is, where the protection is, what their pass routes are, who they're blocking, whether, I'm an outside lane 3-by-1, I'm maybe on the backside X. Am I blocking the corner on this run? Is the run coming at me? Or is it going away and do I have to get the safety? Because that's going to affect the run too, because a lot of times, let's say the run breaks, the guy that makes the tackle is the backside safety. But if your X is digging out that backside safety, now you're asking the backside corner. And usually for quarterbacks that don't know this, corners are the worst tacklers on the defense. They don't like to tackle, just to be honest with you guys. Okay, so know the offense, know it inside and out like the back of your hand. Then secondly, be consistent. This is one thing that I tell a lot of guys is that, whether it's mentally consistent saying, hey, I don't allow myself to get high and low. If I have a good play, I can't get overhyped. If I have a bad play, I got to figure out, hey, how do I correct so it doesn't happen again? Okay. So, consistency, whether it's mentally understanding how to control your emotions or whether it's physically how you play. This is one thing that I feel like I'll give you guys my story. So on consistency.
Your story isn't over yet. It's National Suicide Prevention Month. So let's unite, support each other, spread awareness, and remind everyone that it is okay to ask for help. You matter to me.
You matter to us, and Murphy Auto Group.
I understood that I need to be consistent, but for me, I was also like, well, I need to make a play. I need to show these guys that, I can make a play, that I can throw the post, I can run around and, make guys miss. Like that was my big thing, especially Rick's first year. I wanted to impress Mark Rick. I know that Mark Rick didn't really recruit me at Georgia. I know that he was recruiting other quarterbacks. So I was like, how can I make an impression? So, I was trying to throw deep goes and double coverage, deep posts, all this crazy stuff. Mark Rick even told me, hey man, like you got stuff to figure out. Otherwise, like you'll literally never play quarterback for me. He literally told me it's like you'll never play quarterback for me. And so for me, it was more about consistency. It was like take what they give me. If it's a check down, it's a check down. That was one thing that like I felt like in high school, I didn't get praised for just checking it down to the back. But when I was with Coach Rick, let's say everyone got deep and I hit Mark Walton for a 5-yard gain, he was ecstatic. He was like, thank you for taking what they give you. So again, consistency doesn't also mean like, just consistently hitting deep balls. Yes, those help, but like, hey, can you go 4 for 4 or 5 for 5? Can you take what they give you? If they give you a hitch, do you force a corner or do you just take the hitch? If they give you, a slant route, do you try to throw the go route on the opposite side? Do you just take your backside slant? So to me, it's a lot about knowing where to go, why to go there, and being consistent on your decision making. So next, do not turn the ball over. This is obviously harder. If you don't turn the ball over, it really, really helps you. Again, it's something that turnovers happen, whether you're Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or the best of them, you're going to have a turnover. The big thing you could do is how to minimize it. And once you have a turnover, especially if it's interception, what coverage did they play? What routes were open? Next time you see it, understand, hey, maybe you bypass that route. Maybe, it's cover 2. You're running cross, big post, race, dig down to the back. And maybe the first time you think it's quarters and you throw the post and the cover 2 guy picks it. Okay, cool. You come back maybe 2 days later, you see the same coverage, you see the post, you peek it, get that safety to go back, and then you drive, the crossing route right underneath him. So that to me is like, hey, you learned, you didn't turn the ball over, and you got better. So again, turnovers happen, but you got to learn from them and minimize your mistakes. And then lastly, again, take what the defense gives you. If they're playing deep, let them play deep. Take your underneath routes. I think there's a lot of stuff that, again, the stuff that I struggled with, when I was a young quarterback. Even if they, gave me my one-on-one shot and the guy was deep, I was going to try to take it instead of just hitting the speed out and letting my guys make a play, or just, hitting it to the back and letting him make a move and run. Again, the way that this game is played nowadays is about getting the ball to your receivers in space. Your receivers, running backs, tight end, you want to get it in space and make these guys tackle. So the faster you learn that, getting the ball out your hands, taking what the defense gives you, the better and more success you'll have as a quarterback. So we're going to talk Johnathon Taylor. And to me, I think this is crazy by the Colts. I think that he's the best player on their team, bar none. Especially on the offensive side. Obviously, there's some good defensive players, but I think on the offensive side, he is the best weapon that they have. He is someone that, to me, strikes fear on the defensive side, where they got a game plan for him, whether it's out the backfield, whether it's in the run game, whether it's different things like that. I think that JT was by far the best offensive weapon that, the Indianapolis Colts has, and I'm very surprised that they was able to trade him like that, or even give him the ability to try to trade. I don't know why they try to keep him, try to figure out some type of deal with him. But I think that the fact that now he is looking to trade, I think number one is the Bills. You're talking about Johnathon Taylor, Stephon Diggs, and Josh Allen. I mean, that's going to be a pretty good team. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, you're giving Josh Allen a really good running back. Obviously, they have good backs behind it, but now you're just making more people load the box, which gives Stephon Diggs more of a one-on-one ability and really options for, them to run goes and different routes like that take advantage of cover one. I think that, without Johnathon Taylor, I think more teams play them in a too high shell, kind of saying, hey, we're going to force you guys to run. We're not going to let, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs basically throw all over us. So next, we're going to go into the Broncos, and I think this one is a wild card. But when you're talking about Russell Wilson, Jared Juger, now you're going to throw their head coach in there, Sean Payton. I mean, remember what Sean Payton was doing with Alvin Kamara when he was with the Saints? And you don't think he'll do something similar to Johnathon Taylor? Like, I low-key think the Broncos could be a really, really good pick. I think this will help Russell. Obviously, Russell struggled some last year. I think it's open up their pass game because, again, whenever you have a good running back, teams tend to load the box a little more because they don't want this running back to sit there and keep hitting his forehead for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards a game because you want to play a too high look. So I think it really, really helps Russell. I think it also helps the receiver core around them, which they have a really, really good receiver core. And the last is the Kansas City Chiefs. I think if you're talking Patty and Kelsey and Johnathon Taylor, I think that is your three-headed monster with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this could be something that, definitely goes a long way. I don't know if you guys have seen, but they're talking about Allaire potentially getting cut for the Kansas City Chiefs. So they definitely need a running back. And I think that, if they can get their hands on Johnathon Taylor, I would not be surprised if they take advantage of that. And lastly, we're going to go into Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs is back with the Raiders. This is a huge, huge pickup for the Raiders and Jimmy G, but one thing I will say is Jimmy G has to play better. He has to. If Jimmy G doesn't, this guy's going to take his spot. So for the people that don't know, this is Aidan O'Connell, played at Purdue. I will say this guy definitely busted 2 or 3 of my parlays as I had people beating Purdue, and he wound up, making some very, very clutch throws, especially late in the game. But when you watch this guy throw, his ball placement, his poise, his ability to just process what he sees and just take what they give you. Look, cover one, bam, I'm taking it. Now, I will say that ball needs to be a little more on his back shoulder. Obviously, that one's a little bit up front, but he's giving his guy a chance. It's a touchdown. They gave it to him. So to me, I think that this could be a guy that could potentially be like a Brock Purdy. I think the 49ers have more talent than obviously the Raiders, but I mean, this is going to be a young guy that's going to have Devontae Adams, Hunter Winfrow, Philip Dorsett. I mean, he's going to have Josh Jacons. He's going to have some pretty good talent around him. Okay. So I think this could be an interesting situation if, Jimmy G isn't playing as great. Can they go in with a young guy like Aidan O'Connell and win some games? I think that's something that, a lot of people have been talking about lately. So I think it'd be an interesting option for the Raiders. But I will say that I don't know if it's going to be their best option. But he is a guy that I think over the next 2 or 3 years could either be someone that goes and starts for here or goes to another program and winds up starting due to the lack of quarterback play. So, again, this guy is super accurate. If you guys haven't watched him at Purdue, you guys should definitely go back and watch him this game at Purdue as, he was beating teams that he shouldn't have beat, or whether even if they weren't beating him, he was keeping Purdue in the game just by his ability to be accurate, make plays, and really extend drives. So yeah, that is it for the Malik Rosier Show. I really appreciate everyone for joining. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Again, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share, as it really does help me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, as it really does help me. Thank you guys, and have a great rest of your day.